Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a very conflicted Throttle Grotto. As you can tell, the Z32 is in the air, which means that it had a problem. I drove it, for those of you who didn't watch, I drove it all the way to California for Car Week, drove it all the way around California for Car Week, and all the way back. In fact, I did it all the way back in one day. But put about 2023, about 2,300 miles on the car, didn't miss a beat, like ran great the whole time. I did have a little stumbling every now and then when like sitting in really heavy traffic. It would like coming off of idle, it would stumble a little bit. All things considered, the car sat for a really long time. It's like a 30-some-year-old car. It met the expectations I had for the trip, including braking when I got home. Just like the Datsun on Overcrest Rally, where the Datsun, the accelerator cable literally snapped in front of the garage door and let me know it was done. The Nissan also let me know it was done by when I came out the next morning after parking it, a giant puddle of dark fluid on the ground underneath the car. So I figured either the rear main leaked or the trans sprung a leak because it was coming off the bell housing. And so I pulled the transmission to find that neither of those seemed to be true. Let me show you what I found. All right, so the first problem I found was the giant puddle that ended up on the floor underneath the car. And it was all weeping out of the bell housing, which I thought was pretty cool. No, I didn't. So unfortunately, I had to pull the transmission to see what kind of condition the clutch was in, see if I could figure out where this was all leaking from. And, well, go underneath the car and I'll show you. So, pardon my primitive lighting setup. So up here is the driver's side valve cover. You can see all the oil and junk that has pooled on or around that set of hoses and stuff. And what was doing was running down the back of the block here, hitting this plate, and then running down the plate and pooling in the bottom of the bell housing. Thankfully, missing the clutch and sparing me that headache of having to do the clutch. Well, of replacing a clutch disc again. As you can see here, like it's dry. It's got some dust on it, but it's not soaked in oil or anything like that. I don't see stuff dripping out of the bottom of the clutch like assembly. It was all like dripping down like right through here. So in fact, you can see there, I just wiped a little bit of it off that plate. And I'm still getting residuals dripping here on the floor. So the conundrum is, I'm going to shuffle out from underneath the car and then I will tell you what the conundrum is. This is the gallon jug, which is about 2/3 full of the stuff that I took out of the transmission when I drained it. It's really dark. It's a little sparkly. It's not bad. So as far as I'm aware, the transmission fluid in this car had never been changed. So that could just be normal from all of the driving I did, mixing everything up, and then flushing the transmission. Or I could have transmission problems. I don't know. The other problem is, if you're not aware, doing valve cover gaskets on these engines isn't the easiest job. This whole intake assembly has to come off, the vacuum stuff, the fuel lines, in like the whole top, basically everything on the top has to come off. And if I'm going to do that, I got to do both sides. So I got to change both valve cover gaskets and then put everything back together. And then the car runs and drives again. Or this. I've measured a few times. It's going to be a snug fit, but it does appear that it will fit between the frame rails. The transmission is approximately the same length. It's within a half an inch, so the 6-speed 350Z transmission is about the same length. The engine here is right about 27 inches, which is going to be, it's going to fill the engine bay here at the front. It's going to be tight to the radiator. If I ever have to do any type of service here on the front of the engine, fortunately for me, I have this amount of room here to play with, where I'm not going to have a mechanical fan on the front of that engine for obvious reasons. So I do that. All of the intake stuff can be deleted. This panel actually lifts up, and the air box, air filter assembly and everything is right underneath here. Again, for those of you that aren't familiar with the Z32 platform. And it does not appear that there is an auxiliary fan in front of the radiator. So I could mount a nice, like a Spall pusher fan on the front side of the radiator and not have to worry about the clearance here. Hood clearance is another thing. I think I have just a rough measurement. I have about this much room here, basically about the size of this box to play with. Again, roughing in here things, but about the size of the box to play with. So Maserati intake will definitely not fit, but a custom intake would, or ITBs. So there are possibilities to make there. The only wild card really that I have to deal with on the engine conversion here is the subframe. The subframe may interfere with the oil pan. I may be able to set just the wet sump pan and everything right above the subframe, and it'll clear the hood and everything. And then I will have to make custom intake. It would be nice to use ITBs on here. I know that the S65 V8 ones are pretty close in spacing. If you watch Jimmy Oak's video, he sizes them up and they're close. But have to 3D print some adapters or something to get the offsets right. But it would also be really nice and simple to use a single throttle body and make one throttle body work. I could use the factory harness and ignition and make it run that way for now, and then play around with cool guy stuff later. So that's what I need your help with. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Like, to get the valve covers and assembly and all that off of here, I'm halfway out with the engine. Like, it's cooling system, some plugs and some wires and a few other things at that point, and I could lift the engine out and have an empty engine bay. If I do the valve covers, gaskets, I should probably do a timing belt. I should do a bunch of other service to this. And then we still have the 928 that's torn apart. I still have the BMW that's torn apart. So right now I have potentially 3 engine swaps in the works all at once. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm clearly an idiot, or if I should go ahead with the plan. Because initially the plan getting this car was to get it for this engine. I just did not expect that the 928 was going to let go, that this was going to let go and cause me problems getting back from Monterey. I thought I could just drive this thing through the winter, or, park it over the winter and have it to enjoy and work on over the summer again next year after I get the 928 going. All right, well, my camera's almost out of battery, so let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, get out there and work on something.